I stood frozen. 30 homes had somehow sprouted across my land like a suburban mirage. Then she emerged, smug, composed, and radiating authority like a queen defending her throne. But I wasn't the trespasser. I was the rightful owner. She'd built an empire of lies on land that had belonged to my family for over 70 years. My name is David Mitchell. At 45, I'd seen every construction scam imaginable in my 20 years as a city building inspector. But this was organized. Deception at an entirely new level. I had recently retired to care for my aging father. After his passing 3 months ago, I inherited our family's 5-hectare plot, untouched farmland passed down since my grandfather bought it in the 1950s. Enter Karen Morrison, 52, the self-proclaimed Queen of Sunset Hills. For the last 8 years, she ran the HOA like her personal kingdom. But behind the facade of community improvement, she orchestrated the largest housing fraud I'd ever witnessed. The moment I set foot on my land, the retaliation began. Karen launched a full-blown psychological and digital warfare campaign. Her first move? A mass message to all 30 residents portraying me as a heartless conman exploiting my father's death to steal their homes. She attached a photo from our first encounter, cropped to make me look aggressive, and painted herself as a grieving community leader defending her people from a predator. Within 24 hours, I received a legal threat from Morrison Legal Services. It was a scare tactic, signed by her husband Robert, who wasn't even licensed to practice in our state. The letter accused me of trespassing, theft, and emotional harm. But I'd seen this play before. The legal jargon was pure smoke and mirrors, no legal weight. Karen's third move was brutal. She targeted my reputation in public. She organized a community safety meeting at the Sunset Hills Center, distributing flyers with the headline, "Protect our families from land fraud." She'd even convinced 2 local council members to attend, giving her performance a false sense of legitimacy. By the second week, she shifted her focus to my mental state. Suddenly, neighbors began filing police complaints, saying I was roaming suspiciously, taking photos of children, and threatening homeowners. In truth, I was simply surveying my land, measuring boundaries, and taking evidence. Photos. Karen spun a routine inspection into a sinister narrative of stalking. Then came the online ambush. Karen launched a Facebook group titled Protect Sunset Hills Families. She posted photos of children, BBQs, elderly dog walkers, overlaid with captions like, "Will we let greed destroy our peace?" It went viral. Over 300 residents signed a petition demanding the city investigate me for harassment and fraud. Private security soon followed. Karen hired guards to patrol the neighborhood, installed surveillance cameras targeting the areas I walked, and plastered no trespassing signs across the entire perimeter of my own land. She even began live streaming my every move, narrating her twisted version of events for her growing online audience. But while she played victim in public, I quietly built a federal case behind the scenes. I called Michael Torres, a trusted colleague, and now head building inspector for the county. I'd helped him years ago uncover a massive permit scam, and he owed me a few favors. His interest peaked the moment I mentioned an entire subdivision with 0 permits. Within 72 hours, his team surveyed Sunset Hills. The findings were damning. Not a single permit had been filed. No zoning approvals, no foundation inspections, no environmental reviews. Karen had constructed roads, hooked into public utilities, and sold homes without any regulatory clearance, cheating the city out of over $2 million in required fees. Next, I called Sarah Kim, one of the sharpest real estate attorneys in the state. After a single meeting, she saw the big picture. "David," she said, "this isn't just illegal construction. It's mail fraud, wire fraud, and possibly racketeering." She's been operating as an unlicensed real estate firm. But the biggest twist came from the last person I expected. Karen's husband, Robert Morrison, a licensed civil engineer, requested a secret meeting. "I can't stay quiet anymore," he confessed. "These families were lied to. She's been making me sign off on engineering reports for homes never approved by any agency. I've saved every document. I'm ready to speak." What Robert gave me changed everything. Signed contracts, fake surveys, falsified utility access documents, all proving Karen knew exactly what she was doing. She had sold off $3 million worth of land she never owned, and we were ready to go public. The turning point came at a community-wide meeting Karen had called to protect Sunset Hills from legal harassment. She booked the largest hall at the neighborhood center, invited 3 local news outlets, and planned a dramatic takedown of me, the so-called land thief. She even prepared a polished slideshow full of fake permits, glowing testimonials, and photos of happy families. The room was packed. Karen stood confidently at the podium, dressed in black like she was attending the funeral of truth. "Friends and neighbors," she began, her voice layered with conviction. "We built this community with love and sacrifice. And now a man seeks to destroy it all with legal tricks and lies." For the first 30 minutes, she had the crowd in her grip. People cheered as she showed photos of playgrounds, potlucks, and community cleanup events. She waved around documents she claimed were certified, none of them real, none of them legal. She was painting a masterpiece of manipulation. Then she made a fatal mistake. She opened the floor for public questions, thinking no one would challenge her. She invited anyone with concerns to speak. I stood up. Her attorney immediately objected. But some residents, skeptical but curious, asked her to let me speak. "If he's lying," someone said, "his own words will expose him." I walked to the front with 3 boxes of files and started with a single question. "How many of you have seen the original deed to the land your homes are built on?" Silence. Not one hand went up. I opened a folder and held up the original deed from 1953, showing that my grandfather had purchased the full 5-hectare tract from the county. Then I laid out historical tax records, all paid by my family for over 70 years, including a recent payment just 6 months ago by my late father. Showed survey maps marking out property boundaries that included every home in Sunset Hills. The mood shifted. People murmured. Some gasped. Some looked straight at Karen. Then I pulled out the county records that confirmed what I already knew. Not one permit had ever been issued for any of the 30 homes. The roads, the utility hookups, even the community center we were sitting in. All illegal. Then came the final blow. I introduced Robert Morrison. He stepped forward, his face pale, hands shaking slightly. "My name is Robert Morrison. I'm a licensed civil engineer and Karen's husband." Karen's expression froze. "I've kept my mouth shut for years, but I can't anymore," he said. I watched Karen run what I now know was an illegal operation. She made me sign engineering reports for structures I never inspected. She forged documents. She knew exactly what she was doing. He opened his briefcase and placed a thick folder on the podium, filled with bank records, contracts, and emails. Karen had sold each plot for $80,000, $120,000, collecting over $3 million. She funneled the money through multiple accounts, claimed it came from HOA dues, and faked ownership documents. Robert had tracked every penny, but that wasn't all. Robert played a secret audio recording of Karen attempting to bribe the county inspector, Michael Torres. Her voice echoed through the speakers. "What would it take to make this situation vanish for good? I can make it worthwhile, serious cash." You could hear a pin drop. Karen didn't say a word. That night, everything unraveled. By morning, federal agents, armed with a warrant, raided her home. She was arrested and charged with wire fraud, mail fraud, tax evasion, bribery, and operating an unlicensed real estate business. Because she used out-of-state banks, digital ads, and postal services to promote the scam. It became a federal case. But now came the hardest part. What to do with the 30 innocent families who had unknowingly bought illegal homes. I had every legal right to reclaim the land. I could have evicted them all and sold it off, but I didn't. They were victims too. Hard-working families duped by someone they trusted. I'd spent 20 years in construction enforcement, and I knew one thing. Justice isn't about revenge. It's about restoring what's right. With Sarah Kim's help, we built a solution. Each family paid an additional $15,000, $25,000, just enough to make their homes legal, cover rezoning, and fund safety inspections. In return, they received legitimate ownership titles and protection from further legal action. It wasn't perfect, but it saved them from financial ruin. And Robert? He became the unlikely hero. With his engineering experience, he volunteered to bring every home up to code. Residents elected him as the new head of a legally recognized HOA. He led the charge to install certified utility systems, host regular inspections, and build a transparent community rulebook. Sunset Hills finally became what Karen had only pretended to create, a real neighborhood built on trust and law. Robert also testified in court, helping prosecutors piece together the complex fraud Karen had run. She was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison, ordered to repay families, cover legal costs, and surrender her assets, including her hidden second home in Florida and offshore accounts. The money recovered helped launch the Mitchell Community Development Foundation, a nonprofit I founded to help other rural communities avoid housing scams. We now offer legal guidance, permit assistance, and affordable financing to homeowners caught in similar situations. Today, Sunset Hills thrives. Every spring, the community hosts the Justice Festival, a block party that honors resilience, truth, and what real neighborhoods are made of: integrity, honesty, and unity. Karen Morrison tried to erase my family's legacy. Instead, she helped me build something far stronger. Something real.